Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome to My Awakening and Dream Work. I really love dreaming. It's a very big part of your life, depending on the type of consciousness that you have. It's really interesting to see how life really unfolds from the dream and to see how it all really plays out. The reasons why I really wanted to make this vlog, this video, was to talk about really heighten our importance to understanding the nervous system and understanding that the nervous system, it's not the best. It's one of the, well, we're very lucky that we can grow awareness. We're very lucky that we can actually, we're having an internal experience. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm getting down to is that, let's just say a cow, for example, he would be having, or they would be having an internal experience, but they wouldn't be aware of what they're actually experiencing. So they would be having an internal experience, but they wouldn't have the awareness that we do, the capabilities. Our nervous system is very different to theirs. They're very much in the low-lying sense of consciousness, whereas we're very heightened. We have that heightened being. It's just the nature of it. For me, in terms of consciousness and dreaming and dream work and having an awakening, is really to develop your nervous system. A lot of people will go into DMT, a lot of people will go down that path. Look, I've never really, I will never tell people to go down that path. That's just not who I am. I really like to spice life up by building it over time. A lot of people want it now. A lot of people want to have that sensory experience. And I think for me, that's why a lot of people chase alcohol and a lot of people chase that, is because it heightens that internal experience. And that's what I have really learned in my life, is to build on that experience without any need for any of that. And so it's having that awareness, though, that awareness of that capability to know that and have a knowing of that is the difference. Our nervous systems are faulty to a certain extent. It's not completely flawless. And I always compare, I have a bit of a look at, say, an octopus, right? He is very, his nerves, his nervous system is probably one of the best, but he doesn't have the awareness that we do. I could never see him being so brilliant and adaptive into his environment, because they're changing all the time. Like, an octopus in their environment will be very adaptive. They're very sensitive. They can move very quickly. They know, they can feel it in the water. They can act, but they don't have the awareness. Okay, so they don't have that, and to an extent, we're all going to be faulty in the line of life, and there's always a downside to it. I think for me, learning and having that awareness of our nervous system and the role it plays in lucid dreaming, I think is really important. I still haven't very much mastered that. I think that will be a long term and journey within itself, is learning lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is something that takes, I reckon, 20 longer plus years to really master. Still then, we're still very kind of very afraid of it, because in lucid dreaming, the ego plays a really big part of how we're going to control the dream. And I feel that, the ego itself really, really plays a big part in dreaming. Whether or not you remember it, whether or not it wants answers, it's trying to tell you meanings. Like, I know my spirit gets very, very frustrated with my ego, because it's always trying to tell me the meanings, whereas this will always kind of grasp that learning as you progress on in this type of work, without the ego necessarily putting its 2 cents in and necessarily understanding it straight away. I feel that that part of the nervous system is important. It's a computer, and the types of dreams that we could have is a resolving dream. And it's important to acknowledge the nervous system in terms of keeping you safe. And I feel that that type of resolving dream is really, really important. So whether or not you're quite afraid of dreaming, quite afraid of the message it's giving you, a very quite a violent message, I find that it's the delivery through the nervous system. And because we don't have that competence in the actual nervous system, it scares people. Learn to stay in a state of not knowing, learn to really acknowledge the dream, but don't fear it. It's just trying to get your attention in a sense. It's turning up the volume because you're ignoring it. And so when we ignore things, it's kind of like when we have a bursting pipe and we're putting something to try and keep it down, it will burst, the bubble will burst. So it's really important that when we're understanding the nervous system and it delivers something, it's quite loud, it's quite, prevalent and violent, it's not actually meaning anything bad, it's getting your attention. And that's the delivery through the nervous system. So whether or not we're quite shaken, whether or not we're quite quite upset about it, it's learning to just breathe, it's learning to become grounded again. I think there's so much power in grounding, especially in dreaming, and that's why I'm mentioning the nervous system and why it's really, really important to learn of the nervous system and its integral part in your life. It's not a foolproof system. So learning to have a great relationship and understanding and awareness of your nervous system, especially in lucid dreaming, you'll become energized. And because we're not full sensory of what's going on around us, we run away from it, we get scared, we interrupt it. And I think that's where I'm at in my journey, is learning all of this and learning how to really take my power into that lucid dream. So that's really, really important. Dreaming is very, very important, but it's also important to understand your own nervous system and learn to understand what type of dream you're actually having, which I'll get into later. But very, very important of the role it plays, from ego to a lot of sensory experience. That's why a lot in mental health, I know that sensory is becoming a very big part of a lot of people's lives, because we need to understand the nervous system and its delivery of messages to you. So learn that the nervous system and awareness of your nervous system becomes really, really important in dreaming and dream work and awakening. That's very, very important.